Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach. Hope you guys are travelling nicely out there. Tell you what, I'll be travelling pretty nicely right about now. I think, when will I be scheduling this one? I wrote a few things down. I think I'll schedule this one around the 10th of Jan, and I'll be cruising on a boat in Airlie Beach, so that'll be nice. That'll be nice. It's the 1st of January, so had a very, very quiet New Year's Eve. Too quiet for my liking. A couple of plans fell through and it just didn't fire for me, but that's okay. So yeah, just been pumping out some videos, trying to schedule them for you because I'm off to a couple of trips over the next probably 10, 12 days. So you're watching this now, but we're a little bit on delay here, so hopefully all of this is relevant. Hopefully none of these blokes have done a knee in the last 7 days, but today I want to talk about 3 fellas that I reckon can lift their average by more than 20 points. And I think it'd take a bit of guts to pick some of them, particularly 2 of them in Classic. 2 of the 3 are currently sitting in my side at the moment, albeit it is January, so we're just throwing a few ideas around. But definitely keep these types of players on your radar for your draft team, because I just think you'll get them well down the pecking order, and they might be able to average you certainly in the 80s, in the 90s if all goes to plan. Also just wanted to plug the TikTok, so thanks for the support on this and on YouTube. Just doing similar content on both. You do get a few more longer stories on the YouTube channel, though. It gives us a bit more of a platform to do that. But yeah, if you would like to give that a bit of a follow, there's also some pretty random stuff that I occasionally get up to, so feel free to check that out. But let's look at a fella who I have already spoken a bit about and mentioned him in the Brisbane Lions preview, so I won't spend as much time, but I'm a huge Keidean Coleman fan. He's at 398k and he's a defender, and last year he averaged 71. So I definitely see him pushing that 20 points up into the early 90s. I would be hoping and thinking around that 92, 93 mark. And the reason being, Daniel Rich is done, hung the boots up. They now need a new player to be just distributing that footy off the half-back line, taking more kick-ins, and he's the guy. Now, obviously it didn't always pan out exact because Rich did miss a fair chunk of footy this year. But I think with a pre-season under his belt, a real designated, like, Kiddy, you're our main guy out of the back line. We're going through him. He's a beautiful kick, just weights the footy beautifully. And we saw a lot of it in the grand final and the prelim, which has gone a little under the radar. But, certainly a quality ball user. And can take an intercept mark as well. He'll often drop back, and without having checked, I feel like his intercept possessions are reasonable. Yeah, so interceptions here, he certainly gets quite a few, above 7. Only had the 6 in the granny, but just dominated, particularly in that first half. So, yeah, he's a guy that I just think can go from mid-pricer to you can keep him for a long period of time. And I reckon he's definitely someone we've got to keep a serious eye on. So would love to hear your thoughts on him. Second up, and I really want to just stake my claim to this bloke. Like I did Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller last year, didn't quite pan out for me. But in the end, Nasiah did deliver the numbers I was hoping he would. It just happened at the wrong end of the season, so I had to get rid of him. I've got the same sort of confidence in Ruben Ginbey. Now, obviously last year did have a bit of an interruption with the injury. That certainly affected his overall average. But this guy's a tackling machine, and I reckon he could... You know how some of these top 10 draft picks just go nuts in their second year? You can just see it coming. And we've seen it with other guys, and I think we'll see it with Ruben. Now, he's already got the tackling down pat. Clearly needs to win a bit more of the footy, but I want to take you to the centre bouncers for West Coast. And often what holds young players back is not necessarily their talent. He can clearly play. It's the opportunity. You've got to wait until the opportunity presents for you to get genuine minutes in the midfield. probably more relevant for midfielders. But the opportunity is there for him already, in my opinion. Now, if you look at their main setup last year, Kelly's going to stay. But Sheed, I think I read a couple of weeks ago he was struggling or might have injured something again. He'll play minimal footy. I mean, I'm happy to roll the dice at this stage. Ginbey did already get a fair bit of opportunity last year. They now lose Shuey, who when he was in form and up and running was playing 70% plus in the centre bounce. See you later, Luke. That is centre bounce minutes up for grabs. And then also Yo, who again I think will miss a lot of footy. So I'm feeling like, he could definitely be in the top 3 midfielders for centre bounce time attendance. And that could see him in 3 out of 4 centre bounces, which gives him a hell of a lot of opportunity to tackle, hell of a lot of opportunity to win that ball inside. Now, let's not judge the old team picker too much. I don't even know what it looks like right now, but I did throw a fair few bits and pieces around, but I think Ginbey was still in there. And look, it's fun to just... I haven't looked at buy structure much. It's January. It's fun to just throw a few names around. I said Keidean Coleman to go up by the 20. We'll have a look at Ginbey's average. So there he is, priced at 354, which I think was about a 65 average. 63. So I absolutely think he'll average high 80s. So he could definitely improve by 25 points. And, we've seen guys like, I'm not going to say he's going to be Clayton Oliver, but we've seen those types of fellas. Even, it didn't happen in his second year, but Caleb Sarong, how long's he been going for? Like, these explosions of talented players do happen. Granted, it was in, he averaged pretty good numbers for most of his career, Sarong, and then went bang into his 4th year. But it just shows you that these young kids can certainly average 80 to 90 in their second year. And the very best ones, they can certainly dominate. We saw that with the likes of Walsh and Oliver and those types. It's a pretty high bar to set. Dacos, Sheasel. So they build them up so nicely in the under 18 competition that they can almost waltz into some pretty serious footy straight up. So he is a guy that I think I want to pick. I'll really stake my name to this one. I want to pick him, but I certainly want to latch onto him for draft. And I reckon he could be a great selection. You just get late in your draft order. All your mates are like, oh, what shit? And then boom. He just averages 88 for the whole season. Really handy late order selection. Now, this last one, I don't see many people at all picking in SuperCoach Classic, but it's really based on pure gut feel. And if he gets the right position, could do anything. It's a bit of a random one, but let's have a look at him now. Again, I'm talking real draft good selection here, and that's Miles Bergman. Now, if you talk to anyone over in South Australia, particularly in the Port Adelaide camp, they love this guy. He's great overhead, booming kick. We've mainly seen him play on a wing, if what I can see is correct. I know there's been talk about him as a halfback flanker, but he's a beautiful size. Again, another first round selection. He's played 50 to 60 games. Just says to me, ready to go, ready to take it next level. Now, he averaged 65 last year. I can definitely see him averaging mid-80s for sure. Now, if he gets stuck out on a wing, we could be in a little bit of trouble. I wonder if... can we check this one up? Yeah, we can. There you go. This will be interesting. Don't normally do the old heat map, but this could... Hui, that looks awfully confusing. So what, I'm meant to scroll through everybody? What's going on here? There must be an easy way to do this. Heat maps, that's what I'm after. That looked confusing as fuck. This is... They don't even have 23 up, so that's going to be useless to us. Anyway, that's one for another day I'll try and work on. Anyway, but yeah. think he has been talked about as a wingman, floating back defensively. If, say, Dan Houston plays a bit more midfield, or they do just get a few runners off half back, I reckon Bergman can be one of them. I don't think he's ever going to be a huge possession player. I would imagine he's just going to be a guy that, racks up your low 20s at his best. But there's going to be lots of marks, intercept marks. I wonder if he's got that intercept game going already. So already he's got a few, particularly that last month. And, he had games. He had games with big intercept possessions, rounds 8 and 9. How did that translate? So, so there you go. They translated pretty nicely to SuperCoach scores. Real gut feel, this one. Haven't heard him talked about much. I love talking about a bit of a point of difference option. Just keep him in your back pocket, particularly draft night. I tell you what, he could certainly be a player one day. Whether it'll be this year, who knows? But in the right position, this kid's got a lot to offer. So certainly one guy I'll be watching pretty close. But yeah, if you've got any players that you reckon are going to really burst onto the scene and lift their average up a fair bit, let me know, because we do love to see a bit of a breakout contender. Who doesn't love that? So that's what this time of year is all about, getting your crystal ball out and seeing who could really explode. So talk to you guys soon anyway. Cheers.